Okay, an angle is a figure formed by two rays. What is a ray?
A ray that has a point.
A point and a arrow. And they have the same endpoint. So do you agree right here, B to A is a ray? This is one side of my angle. So right here where it says sides of the angle, can you write ray BA? B has to come first, then A, because B is where it starts, then it goes to A. What's the other ray? What's the other side? BC. The bottom is BC, ray BC. Again, it has to start with B and it goes to C because C goes on forever. And the end point that they share, the point where your two rays intersect, is called a vertex. Your vertex is also what we name the angle by. So what point is my vertex? Point B. So anytime I talk about a vertex, I'm talking about the middle of that angle. There are 4 different ways I can talk about this angle. I can call it angle B. Hey, everybody, point to angle B, and you would know I was talking about this angle. Could I call it angle A? No. A is up there. Is that my vertex? No. So I can't call it angle A. You can only call it with the letter that is the vertex. Okay. I can also use 3 letters to name this. What 3 letters could I use? Angle A, B, C. Again, the order matters. A, B, C, do y'all agree that's this angle? A, B, C. And B is in the middle. Could I call this BAC? Is BAC this angle? Look up. BAC. Is that this angle? No. Your order matters. Your vertex needs to be in the middle. What else could I call it?
CBA.
I could call this angle CBA. I can go backwards. CBA. That works. What about CAB? Can I call it CAB? C to A to B. Is that the same angle as this one? No, it has to go in order. There's one more thing I can call it. Anybody want to guess? Angle 1. If I put a number right there that doesn't have degrees, I'm just naming that angle. Oh, by the way, put an arrow. Both of these, do y'all see how B is in the middle? The vertex goes in the middle. All right, y'all. We do not have a test in here. Well, tomorrow's Friday. We don't have any more tests in here. We already took one on Monday, right? You do not have a test in this class next week at all. But the week after that, you're going to have a test over this. This right here, the paper we just did, I just gave you 3 test questions. And I've been talking for 3 minutes and 49 seconds. So let me go over what those 3 questions are. First question, what's my vertex?
B.
Bam, you answered it. Second question, probably one of the most missed questions on the test. What is the side of this angle? A lot of people want to say the side's AB. Is that true? What is the side?
BA.
BA and
B.
BC. Okay, you are starting from the vertex, BA and BC. Other people like to tell me, Miss Olivares, the sides are A and C. No, A and C are just points. What's the whole side? BA and BC. Last question is going to be, can you name this angle? Can you name it angle B? Can you name it angle BAC?
No.
It has to go in a certain order. Those are 3 test questions. All right, open up. I'm going to talk for, let's see if I can do this in 10 minutes. It feels like a Friday today. That's unfortunate. Okay, If I'm looking at all of this right here, last period we decided 5 of these words you have already learned. There are 12 of them. 5 of them you should know from middle school.
I don't.
Does anybody want to look at this picture? And can anybody just look at this and tell me, hey, I already know this word? What word do you know? Okay, so I hear over here somebody saying acute. Which one's acute? Why is this an acute angle? An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. Y'all have learned this before. This is not new. Write it down. Right angle. What is a right angle? It equals 90 degrees. It's either going to have a little box or it's going to have a 90-degree angle.
Obtuse.
Not obese. Obtuse angle.
I'm gonna call it obese.
Obtuse angle. What does obtuse mean? It is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180. And typically you just see greater than 90. All right, this next one, last period, some people told me it was new, some people told me it wasn't new. What about if it equals 180? Have y'all learned this one? What does it make right here if it equals 180? A line, and lines are, this is called a straight angle. A straight angle. It equals 180 degrees. Does that make sense? Okay. So maybe out of all of these, this one was new to y'all. Is this one new to y'all? Okay. So a straight angle. There's one more thing on this paper that I feel like you've already learned. Do y'all see something that you recognize? Something that's not new? The last one. An instrument that is used to measure angles. What is this called? Protractor. A protractor. So that shouldn't be new to you. Yes. Let me finish the notes. And then there's one more. It might be new, it might not, but I feel like y'all can do this without me having to teach it all. Number 10. What do we think angles that have the same measure are? What is same in math? Congruent angles. And remember, the congruent symbol is an equal sign with a squiggly. So do you see how both of these are 60? In this class, do y'all remember how we did tick marks when the sides were the same? And here, when angles are the same, we do arches. So anytime you see me do arches, that means they're the same. Write that down, please. All right, there are 12 vocab words. 6 of these you should have already known. None of this is not new yet. Maybe straight angle was new. Let's go back to 5. Can everybody go to 5, please? 2 angles that share a common vertex. I'm going to use a different color. Let's use orange. A common vertex, that is right here. Circle that little vertex. And a common side. Can y'all just like kind of put your pencil to make that a little bit bold? I like to think of this, and no common interior points. I like to think of this as they are neighbors. Neighbors. Do you agree neighbors share a common fence? But they don't live in the same house. Or if you live in an apartment, do you agree you share a wall with your neighbor somewhere in your house, but y'all do not live in the same house? That is what these angles are. These angles are right next to each other. They're neighbors. They share a common endpoint. We call this adjacent angles. Can everybody say this word adjacent? Everybody, adjacent. Adjacent means next to. Julie is adjacent to Naya. Angel is adjacent to Andrea. Naya is not adjacent to Neve. They are not next to each other. Now you know a new word you can use. Come sit adjacent to me. Come sit next to me. You're like, Miss, my friends would look at me like I'm crazy. Probably, but that's okay. Adjacent means neighbors. I used to teach a Spanish speaking math class, but I don't speak Spanish. But I used to teach it. Vecinos. We learned that year. All right. We learned together. They learned English from me and I learned Spanish from them. Yeah. And then I had kids that kind of spoke English, so they would translate and we would just, I don't know, we figured it out. Yeah. All right. This one right here. I was told last period, some of y'all know this and some of y'all don't. Do y'all know what it is? So a right angle is when you have one angle. Do y'all agree there's only one right here? When you have two angles that are equal to 90 degrees, what is it? Complementary. Have y'all ever heard that word?
Yeah.
Okay. Complementary. That's a long word. Complementary angles. So y'all have learned this word. Because last period, they're like, we've never heard of it. Well, half of them said they'd never heard of it. Anybody in here never heard of that? We've heard it. Did we remember it? But we've heard it. Complementary angles are two angles that equal 90. Now, complementary angles, what is 35 plus 55? These are non-adjacent complementary angles. Are they right next to each other? Do they share a fence or a wall? This one has its own walls. That one has its own walls. These are non-adjacent. These are adjacent. They share that fence. So complementary angles can be adjacent or not. They just have to have two of them that equal 90. What about when it equals two angles that equal 180? Supplementary. Supplementary angles are two angles who add up to what? 180. Now, y'all get these confused all the time. So you say that, but y'all do. So how can we remember which is which? Y'all ready? Look up, please. Supplementary. Starts with an S. What can I do with an S? I can make it into an 8. Supplementary adds up to 180. Complementary starts with a. I can make it into a 9. Complementary adds up to, and look, it even has 90 right there. So complementary means 90. Supplementary means 180. I was also taught when I was in school, C comes before S in the alphabet, right? So 90 and then 180. 90 comes before 180. So that's another way to remember it is C comes first in the alphabet, 90 comes first for numbers. Whichever way makes sense for you. Next vocabulary word is two adjacent angles. What does adjacent mean? Neighbors, they share a fence, they share a wall, whose measures are always have a sum of 180. When you have two angles that are 180, what did we just call that? Supplementary. By the way, y'all remember how I'm a little lazy? I'm always going to write supplementary, sup. I'm going to shorten it. So two adjacent angles that are supplementary, we call this a linear pair. What does linear mean? A line. And how many degrees is a line? No. How many degrees is a line right here? 180. And what does pair mean? Pair means two. So it's two angles that make a line. A linear pair. Two angles that make a line. Write that down. Heads up, write it down. Okay, I know I'm a math teacher, so that automatically makes me like a nerd. For sure. But I'm even bigger nerd because I have a favorite vocabulary word, and this is it. Like why? I don't know. It's just my favorite. It's going to come up all year long. When you have opposite angles, when I'm talking about opposite, I mean across. Can y'all write across? When two lines intersect, we call this vertical angles. What do I mean by vertical angles? What is across from 1? Nope. 3. So angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical. And the reason why I like vertical angles so much is, what if I said this was 40 degrees? If angle 1 is 40, what do we know about angle 3? It's also 40. They are congruent. What about angle 2? What's it vertical to? Angle 2 is vertical to angle 4. All right, last one, and then I'm done, almost done teaching. Yippee. Can I move it up? We talked about this on Tuesday. I mentioned it very briefly. What is it called when a ray divides into two congruent angles? What happens when I cut this in half? What am I doing? What's that word to cut in half? This is an angle bisector. An angle bisector cuts in half. Write that down, please. An angle bisector cuts in half. Did we glue in our protractor paper on Tuesday? No. Mr. F, can you give everybody a glue? I know some people have it already. All right. I need you to look up real quick because I'm going to give you a couple instructions. The first thing I want you to do is get out your protractor paper from, whoa, what am I doing? Your protractor paper from Tuesday. You are going to glue this paper on page 12 and glue the protractor paper on page 12 and the one we just did, angles, on page 13. With the protractor paper? Okay, I have it right here for you.
Which one goes on which page?
12 is this one right here.
Oh.
And then 13 is the angle of paper. Can you give that to me? What? Yeah, Naya. Yep, right there. Next, you are going to log into Schoology. 12 is the protractor paper. 13 is the one we just did today. Yep, right there.
I was supposed to have going to go back. I didn't. And I don't know, like, I tell so much. I'm still, I don't know anything about it.
Okay, let me find out. Let me finish this and then I'll come and look at it for you. Okay. Now, after you do that, you are going to go into Schoology and do the assignment angles intro.